Hi, good afternoon. We're just waiting for a few more parents to trickle in and find their way navigating the campus. For some of us, it's our first time here, so I'm going to give you a little grace for people to find their way. And the other thing you'll notice about our campus is that we don't have really great wayfinding signage, something we need to work on so that people can find their way and what buildings where and which direction do I go. Your students will get personal tours today, so they should have a better time finding their way. How many of us, it's our first time sending our child to a high school? Oh boy, how exciting. And how many of us is it, I've done this before, I'm here, but I sort of know my way around? Okay. All of our new people, keep your hands raised. These are your resource experts from the parent perspective. And another really great resource is our Yahoo parent group, but I think we moved to Google or Gmail. Oh no, Gmail, yeah. So there's a parent email group that we will send out and get you hooked up with that kind of parent-to-parent advice, parent-to-parent questions, struggles. You need direction on something. How do I handle this situation with my kid or a teacher? Really great resources that, and a lot of times there's, they answer at any time of day or night. So they don't have like the strict office hours. Anyway, a really great resource. So I highly recommend that for you, in addition to all the resources that we're going to share here today. My name's Kristen Gonzalez, and I'm the principal here at Wilcox High School. It is year 8. I'm starting as principal. Prior to that, I was a vice principal here for 3 years, and then prior to that, a history teacher here, and then prior to that, in San Jose Unified as a history teacher. I was raised and born in this area, born and raised, in that order, in this area, and I went to Booksur and Santa Clara High School. So I'm a product of this district and this area of town, and so you'll find on our staff a lot of products of either Wilcox High School or Santa Clara High School or Booksur High School or the old Santa Clara or the old Peterson. There's lots of history of high schools in our district and changing campuses or merging together. So we've got a lot of homegrown people in our district, and I think that really goes to show that we do a lot of great things in educating our kids and then providing opportunities for them to return to us and then give back to their community. So right now, your freshmen are over on the football field getting, how many of your students were really excited, couldn't wait to get out there? How many were really scared, nervous, anxious about it? How many just didn't want to come and you had to force them? Okay. That will be probably for a lot of different things. I think the most important thing at the base level is to just show up, right? Half the battle. And now that we have a year back of in-person learning under our belts, I think it's only going to get easier as we all sort of reacclimate to the new ways of learning and the new ways of the world. The district will be sending out updated COVID protocol information, but there is some change from last year that I just wanted to highlight for you. The weekly testing that was funded by the state has ceased. So the focus is going to be on mitigation strategies, monitoring for symptoms, at-home tests, and staying home if you're feeling ill. Masks are strongly encouraged, strongly recommended by both the Santa Clara County Public Health Department and by our district as a mitigation strategy as well. It's not required. There's no punishment for wearing it or for not wearing it, but it's definitely highly recommended. And given that we have really high transmission rates in our community right now, and you may have noticed, at least I've noticed, that a lot of people who went on vacation came back with that gift, that souvenir from their trip. And it's we're we're already starting to see that sort of impact some of our staffing and some of our attendance at things. So we'll be, we've been working with teachers, and they have a year under their belt of figuring out what to do when kids miss school and how to help them catch up. And so we'll continue all of those efforts to make sure that if your student has to be out because they are sick, that we will get them caught up and they will not, suffer beyond whatever symptoms they might have in terms of academically, to get them caught up when they return. We do want them to focus on getting well, and so we don't provide like online Zoom instruction while they're out with COVID. We really need you as a family to focus on getting them well and healthy, and then we will help them catch up when they get back. All right, so our freshmen, what are they doing over there? So they're meeting up with probably about 75 juniors and seniors. They'll get paired in small groups. They'll do a little bit of sort of rally fun, getting engaged. The message at the beginning over there is really like, where did you come from? You came from Peterson, you came from Don Caljon, Buxer, Cabrillo. Now we're all one. We're all Chargers now, and we're moving forward together. Then they break out into groups, have a tour of the campus, do some sort of social activities, meeting each other, getting to know each other, getting to know some of the upperclassmen. Our upperclassmen Link Crew leaders have specific shirts on that say Link Crew, and they'll wear them on the first day of school as well, so that when the freshmen get here on the first day, they can identify who maybe they've already met and connected with, and also who's safe to ask, well, anyone's safe to ask a question, but like who might be a knowledgeable person that I can point out. I can see by their shirt they're a Link Crew leader, and they can help answer my question about where something is, help me with my locker, or whatever it might be. Then, after their tour of the campus, they will meet back on the field at 5 o'clock. We invite you to rejoin us at 5 on the football field for a rally to welcome everyone, families included, back to Wilcox for the year, or to Wilcox for the first time. At 5:30, our Wilcox PTSA is hosting an ice cream social in the quad, so we'll move at 5:30 from the field to the quad. Your students will be able to get their schedules, which I'm sure they're very excited to see. And you and your student and family are welcome to join us at the social, and clubs will be out there. A variety of clubs will be looking to welcome your student to join them. And I highly recommend that, getting involved, whether it's club, athletics, any sort of extracurricular that keeps your student connected to school. Highly recommended to engage and meet other people and have just more reasons to come to school every day and to interact and meet new people. And then we should be done after 5:30. Is you can stay till 6:30, or you can leave if you need to go. But the buildings will be open so that you could, if you want, with your student to sort of like track their schedule and take the path of where their classes are. You could practice opening their locker, which is a life skill, opening a combo lock. We do have to teach that. And we work with students, but if you want to practice that with your student, you're welcome to do that. Let me start, too, with a few questions, real quick. Yes. Yeah, we're going to give, we used to not, but we were thinking about it the other day. So she said if they missed pictures yesterday, can they get their schedule today? We used to say you can't. But that doesn't feel very good, right? When you're a freshman and to no reason of your own, you had to miss pictures yesterday and now you can't get your schedule. Not a very good welcoming feeling, so we are. We have 2 more makeup opportunities for photos if your student missed a photo yesterday. On the 10th from 8 to 11 in the main gym, and then on the first day of school, they'll start at 7 a.m. and be there till about 10, I'd say, taking photos. We want everyone to have a school picture for a variety of reasons. That's you're way into the yearbook, number 1. Number 2, we just need to be able to identify. Having a student ID can get you and your student a lot of discounts around. You need to be able to, if we ask you if you go to school here, there are 1,900 students here. So if I maybe don't recognize you and I say, are you supposed to be here? Yes, I am here. I'm a student. So there's a variety of reasons to have a student ID, so it's required for our students. But anyway, thank you for asking that question. 2 more opportunities, Thursday and Friday. Take one more question, then I'm going to have to hold questions till the end because we do have a presentation. Yes? We're just doing the annual student information update. I will double check and send information if you have to do address verification for freshmen, but it should be through the annual information update inside that process. Let me double check and I'll send that out to all of the freshmen. Yeah, and there was one more question in the back. Gym clothes? That'll be in PE the first few days of school. And now gym clothes aren't, like purchased gym clothes from the school are not required. They're, if you'd like to buy them. Then otherwise it's plain black, gray, white shirts and shorts. In their PE classes the first few days of school, and the PE teachers will share more information about that once they get in there. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to introduce a few people, and then we'll get to our presentation. First, Mr. Nichevich here in the front. He's one of our vice principals. Yeah, so he supports, do you want to say it? Oh, he supports our English learners students, special education if your student has an IEP. He supports those students. He supports our wellness center. What else am I forgetting? Yeah. And he does interventions and discipline, so if a student needs some support in some decisions they're making, he helps with that as well. And any of these people too, please do stop and ask us questions. If you see us on campus, we're happy to help. Mr. Kolda is another vice principal. He's in charge of attendance, and you might hear from him if your student's missing school or starts to miss a little too much school. He also supports with interventions and behavior if they need some support making better decisions. What am I missing, Mr. Kolda? Sure. We actually, have 3, thank you for bringing that up, and I was going to put that in an email to the community, but since I have your attention now, there's 3 places you can drop off that are designated, and then of course if you have other places in the neighborhood, but the main parking lot, that gets the most congested, so I like to tell parents, pick up, drop off at a comprehensive high school is a 15-minute experience, maybe 20. Plan for that. It's not a quick experience, no matter which way you go, how you try to do it. It's not a quick experience. And we have limited resources. So, we ask that you can, and anyone in the back, you can come sit. There's lots of seats. So anyway, the front parking lot gets the most congested. Then we have our theater parking lot is another drop-off point, and then along Calabasas, we have a gate by the baseball field. That's probably the least congested area. Also, you can drop them off early. We have staff on campus at 7, the cafeteria is open. They can sit in the cafeteria and do homework study. It doesn't have to be like a right at 8:40 because it's 8:45 school start. You don't have to drop them off right then. And as they get older, they'll get more comfortable sort of getting here early. They can hang out in the quad. And same thing with pickup. After school, they can hang out in the quad. The library's open. So it's not urgent that you have to be here right when it starts or right when it gets out. Shift your schedule a little bit. It might make a little less headache for you in the morning. Yeah, pick-up, drop-off. It's quite an experience, yes. And I'm not sure any comprehensive high school has that figured out. I don't know anywhere that does, really. It's like 1900 families dropping, like people converging on a place at once in a similar time frame. I don't know that there's ever really a good plan for that. Yes. We open that about, I'd say, about 7:30. Staff are on campus at 7, but it's a large campus, so the custodians go around, unlock everything. So I'd say by 7:30 it'll be open. I'll have to get that back to you. We have to adjust it with our new bell schedule. Usually opens at 8, and then usually closes by 4, and then it's open during lunch as well. All right, back to our intros. Mr. Steerin, welcome, another vice principal in charge of counseling and instruction at our school. And then Miss Kathleen Mcdonald. You may know her. Perhaps she was your teacher here at Wilcox High School at one point. She's been with us how many years, Miss Mcdonald? 59 in the district. And so we're seeing a lot of people whose parents were students of hers, and now she's getting their children or grandchildren. So we're happy to have her. And if you weren't aware, our newest high school out on the Ag News campus is named after Miss Kathleen Mcdonald. That's opening next week. So she's in charge of all things activities, ASB, student clubs, all that, prom, winter ball. Hopefully we can have our winter ball. We haven't had one in several years, but we did have a prom last year, so freshmen can come to winter ball. We encourage that. It's a fun experience. So more information to come about that later, but usually late December is when we have our winter ball, so we'll get back to you on that. All right, and then last but not least, our counselor, Miss Elena Mikhailova. And she comes, she's been here for quite a while, maybe 10 years, I'd say, at this school, and then in the district longer than that. So she comes with a lot of experience. She's here to share our presentation with you from the entire, and on behalf of the entire counseling department. She oversees the last name that starts with S-T-I through the letter Z. So she sees just the last part of the alphabet, but she's knowledgeable in all things. And so she is going to take you through the presentation here on kind of like tips and tricks for freshman year. And then we can, you take questions at the end. And then, of course, your counselors, who are all here based on last name, are really great resources for questions. They're, I would say, aside from contacting a teacher directly about with questions about a class or curriculum or homework, school-related questions, what's happening, why are we doing this, when is this happening, all that, really great first stop for all questions about school. One last thing, and I don't know if this is part of your presentation, but the movement to Aries and Parent Square, so we are making, she'll tell you more about that, but we are moving away from School Loop. Right now, our School Loop website's still going to operate. We're going to launch a new website, but if you go to School Loop, it'll just redirect you to our new website. We're going to use, instead of School Loop for grades, we're going to use Aries. And you should have, if not yet, already logged in for some reason through the Aries student portal or parent portal to have access to your students' information. And if you need help with that, that's something the counselor can help you do as well. And then Aries bought a communication platform called Parent Square, which you can download the app for, or it just generates communications automatically to your email. So our teachers are going to be using that communication. The administration, counselors, we're all going to be using that instead of School Loop to communicate with you. And so, as with all things transitioning, there probably are some hiccups that will exist, and we are open to your feedback. We've heard nothing but good things about Aries' Parent Square communication system. but there are certain adjustments that can be made on the platform that are unique to Wilcox or unique to Santa Clara Unified. So your feedback is welcome. So we could, because you're the ultimate user of it. So what works for you, how, when, we'd love to hear. That is already launched. You should have maybe started getting some communications either from the district or Wilcox about it's called Aries Communication Parent Square. All right, so those are our big changes, and I will invite Ms. Mikhailova up here to kind of share more. The last thing, thank you, let's welcome her to the stage. Thank you. Last thing, this is being recorded, and we will share this slideshow and the recording of this presentation online as soon as we can, probably by the end of the day tomorrow. In case you miss anything or you know someone who couldn't make it but would really love this information, we'll make that available to you.
Good afternoon, welcome again. So I'll start with a very brief overview of the counseling team. There are 6 of us. We have a big counseling department. We're basically academic counselors, so we're responsible for classes, scheduling, testing, college, career. We have a place that I would talk about in the end called the Wellness Center. They're also counselors, but they're focusing on social emotional stuff. We have a little bit of that too, but we have people who are trained to handle social emotional stuff. So they're not on this slide. These are academic counselors. Our caseload is broken by alpha, and hopefully by this time you're familiar who your counselor is. And this is the contact information. Not sure if my clicker is working. It's not. Jennifer? All right, counseling team, Mrs. Gonzalez introduced who is who. This information, if you need to contact anybody, is available, would be available shortly after the presentation, and you can see who is responsible for what. I will cover a couple of things. So Aries, again, it was brought up already that we are switching away from School Loop to Aries, a parent portal. More information would come, and it would be a centralized place for communication, for grading, for assignments, for lots of different things. But since we're just switching, we don't have specifics to give out to you, but this information would follow very shortly. I'll talk about class schedule. I'll talk about counseling website and about Google Classroom. These would be your immediate resources. So as a parent and as a counselor, the advice is try not to understand everything at the same time. You would be overwhelmed. It's like eating an elephant. Can you eat an elephant? Yes, you can. You start with small pieces. Because when a parent is contacting me in 8th grade and asking how many AP classes he can take as a freshman, this information would not be relevant. Things change. They change very fast. I have parents with siblings. What was true 2 years ago is not true anymore. Certain tests were required. Now they're optional. So this information changes almost on a daily basis. That's why understand what's important to understand for your grade level. A lot of information would be coming your way. We would be disseminating it through classroom visits, through announcements, through Aries portal. And if there's something that you still don't understand, then maybe there's a reason for that. It's probably not for that particular grade level, but what we're trying. We're doing a lot of education of parents and students in classes as well. Thank you. I think it worked. All right, counseling website is part of the Wilcox website. You can see pretty much everything that you need. There's access to Google Classroom. We have 4 grades, and you're accessing your particular grade with an access code. I'll talk about that in a second. On the right, you see the counselors that you are assigned to. This is the logo for Aries. That tells you how to log in. You can see all the information that's posted here, and a great resource for you would be a freshman handbook for students and parents. A lot of little logistical things would be there as well. How do I schedule an appointment with a counselor? Locker combination. We are academic counselors, so lots of things we refer you to other people. We have 2 counseling secretaries that would be very willing to help you. So this is a really good start for you. Google Classroom. You can access that from a number of different ways. The easiest probably would be either going to the website and getting it there, Google Classroom, or your child would have his own Gmail account, not personal Gmail account, district email account. And from there, you would go to the waffle, and there's a drop-down menu, there's Google Drive, there's calendar. One of the tabs would be Google Classroom. So they go there. This is the code for freshman class of 2026. If you need, feel free to screenshot that. But your kids would be logging in probably the first day of school. And if there are any issues, counselors can help, and teachers are usually a great resource at the beginning of school. What is covered in Google Classroom? So first of all, make sure that you're in the correct Google Classroom, 2026, because people don't pay attention to a year. They go somewhere else and they say that I'm completely lost. I don't follow. I'm not sure what's going on. So when you go to Google Classroom, there's a little sample of what you might see. For freshmen, you will have assignments. You will have freshman expectations. Many teachers have what they call green sheets, where they explain their policies, their grading policies. Not everybody is the same, so you cannot say that this teacher did that, but this is not doing that. We're all very different. We counsel differently. We teach differently. We have different strengths and weaknesses. We're human beings. So if you really want to know what a particular teacher is doing, that would be a good place. And if it's not there for any reason, just follow up with the teacher directly. A body life, student body life, clubs, activities, all of this is posted. Graduation requirements that I will touch upon very briefly today, and college information. This is just scratching the surface with college information. Your children and you will hear a lot. This is my 2nd year that I'm doing freshman orientation. I've primarily been doing juniors and seniors, talking about colleges. Again, it's pointless to talk about stuff that would be changing in 4 years. That's why we're trying to dose things, because abundance of information is as dangerous as the lack of it. Your child's brain is saturated, and we talk several times about things, and they say, nobody told me that. Attendance. First things first, super critical. I'm a former teacher. If you're not in the class, you're not learning. If you're coming late, you're not learning. If the kid spends time somewhere else, he's not learning. Then he comes, he expects to be plugged in right away, then he's tested on certain things, and learning is not happening. So the succession is very simple to me. Classwork, homework, test, grade. If some of the things are missing in this chain, then it's reflected in a bad grade. I usually start with, are you in class every day? They say, yes, sure. I look at the attendance, yeah, every other time, tardy, coming whenever, taking their precious time, traveling from one place to another, and some just are in a bad habit. So make sure that you emphasize that to your child. Teacher starts the class. They start differently. Some start with lecturing, some start with some hands-on activities, and they're missing it. So all the appointments, if possible, we're working adults, I understand, but try to do your appointments outside of school hours. Avoid vacation during school. We have that when people are taking 2-3 weeks off, traveling with their kids because it's convenient to them. Just look at that from the perspective of a child. He's missing 2-3 weeks of school. It's not easy to catch up. No explanation, you're by yourself with the material. Go to class on time every day. If absent, definitely arrange time to meet with the teacher. We have really a wonderful staff. We were just accredited. We have a lot of very personable people who are coming before school, staying after school. So when somebody says the teacher is not available, I'm really doubting that. If you make an effort as a parent or as a student, teachers definitely will meet you in that path. If you have any issues with computers, feel free to connect with Mr. Kolda. He was introduced here. He's in charge of technology and all the technical issues. Chromebooks, logins, things are not working. When people email me, I refer them to him. There are certain things that counselors are not posted. We have admin staff, we have secretarial staff, so we will direct you further. Academic time. This is something that counselors this is our primary focus. Monitor progress on a regular basis. Make sure that you know what your child has. It's not rare that a parent has no clue, then shows up only when the grade is bad and says what's going on. You see patterns. You see what comes after what. Again, if there are attendance issues, very soon we will have academic issues. Monitor Google Classroom. That's a great resource. We started doing that a couple of years ago, and teachers are fully utilizing that right now. Now grades would be there, notifications would be there, assignments would be there. Stay organized. I've been asked that question a lot. My child is coming from middle school. He was doing great, A's and B's. Now he's in high school, and all of a sudden first C's, and he started struggling. My impression as a parent, not just as a counselor, is that it's not enough to do well in high school just based on your intelligence. So it's just not enough to be smart. You really need to be organized. You need to manage your time properly. You have multiple teachers, so many people. You need to learn to advocate for yourself. If we don't know that there's a problem, we don't know that the problem exists. We're not biting. They need to learn how to deal with an adult. Again, we're very different, but if a kid comes and says that I'm lost or I need help, he definitely would be helped. But it's super important that in addition to just intelligence, they develop these other skills. Writing things in their daily planners, managing their time properly. If you're emphasizing sports and then you think that your kid can come back to school and at 10 p.m. do his homework and do well the following day, you need to rethink a lot of things. They're kids, even though the expectations of our kids are much higher than a couple of years ago. Very high. Utilize after-school tutoring. Teachers are available. Some before school, some after school, some both. Some are doing lunchtime help. We're offering, we're one of the few schools that are offering tutoring. When my kids were in school in Los Gatos, there was no tutoring. Kids were by themselves. We will have tutoring hours available for you, but usually it's Monday through Thursday with an exception of Fridays. We have 2 committed teachers who are coming and helping kids with that. Free, available to you for free. A couple of years ago, I think 2 years ago, we partnered with a company called PaperCore. Free to parents and to students, tutoring services. To me, a phenomenal resource available to you for free. When counseling naturally is not available after business hours, and teachers are humans too and they have families. So some parents expect that we will be returning messages and calls 24/7. This is not happening. We are not doing that. They are in several languages, and I heard really nice feedback from kids. So if you have a test, physics test, the following day and you're struggling with certain problems, they say that this is a great resource. We have flyers, we mentioned that in classes, and nevertheless, once in a while we hear that a kid is lost, he doesn't know where to find help. Teachers, tutoring, PaperCore. Okay, and teacher being the primary helper. Contact teachers directly. Quite often, we have parents who are coming to the counseling office unhappy about something, and the first thing that we usually ask, does the teacher know that this problem exists? No. Have you talked to a teacher? No. Did you email a teacher? No. First of all, it's not very fair to a teacher, because many teachers say, at least let us know. We're completely willing to work with you. But it's escalated without a teacher even being involved. So if there's an issue, feel free to CC a counselor if you want us to be posted. But we're referring you back to a teacher. I need to find what the root of the problem is, and it goes back to square A. Check syllabuses for each teacher policies. I mentioned that before. It varies. Ask your child, do you know your particular teacher or teacher's policies? If you're still unclear, check with teachers directly. If my child is sick, if he's turning work late, how does it work with credit? Is he getting half credit? What's going on? And use Gmail account. Super important. I think it would be so much easier this year compared to previous years, because kids were using School Loop. I so dislike School Loop. It was very limited. It was very glitchy. It didn't allow me to do a lot of different things. So I was telling kids were telling me, I have no idea what you're talking about. Did you check your Gmail? No. All the information was disseminated through Gmail. We've been talking about that for years now. Gmail account, very critical. Oh, oops, no. That's the slide that I need. You need to understand some basic differences between middle school and high school, and there are quite a few. First of all, high school is no longer just about grades. It's about grades and credits, something that you probably are not very familiar if this is your first child. So naturally we worry about grades, but we talk a lot about credits. When I meet my freshmen, and usually it's a very brief conversation, it's meet and greet. Don't expect that we would get deeper into all these conversations. We're giving them time to adjust, to figure out who is who. Then we start having much more serious conversations sophomore year, and I will talk about that in a moment, when we're really building off the previous year of assessments, of looking at patterns, projecting classes for the next 2 years. I'll talk about that in a moment. But credits, I usually tell freshmen, and parents like it too. It reminds me, once I created that analogy, and I think it worked, it reminds me of a big supermarket. You enter a supermarket, which is high school, and you start shopping. But instead of food, dairy, fruits, vegetables, you're shopping for classes. And instead of paying with money, you're paying with credits. So you put all these items in your cart: English, math, science. Every class is worth 10 credits with an exception of PE per year. Then you go to a cash register, you need to have a certain amount of credits, which for our district is 230. If you're 225 because you failed a class or because you forgot to take a class, we have many smart cookies who don't think that health class is important, or practical art. It's not for college. I'm not even taking that. Good for you. You would never get to college unless you graduate from high school. You need to do that. There are certain things that need to be done. So with that said, 230 is the magic number for us. Whether it's 230, 250, 300, colleges don't care. It's a myth created by freshmen. The more the merrier. That's why every year we have the same thing. I want 7 classes. Why? It looks better for college. You're working harder, not smarter. Colleges don't care. I will show you what colleges are looking for. You want to stay busy all the time? Then be my guest. Very often it makes absolutely no sense. So you have 50 credits more than what's required. Good for you. Colleges don't care about that number at all. Colleges care about their specific things that are called A through G, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Bad grades, another huge difference. So in middle school, you got a bad grade. So your mom is not happy, your teacher is not happy, there's a social promotion, your child is going to the next grade, there are no consequences. with an exception of an upset mom. Here, nothing goes unnoticed. Nothing is forgotten. You got a bad grade, this grade has to be made up. So if you're not making it up, it's like a dead basket. Creditors are calling, knocking on your door. I would be pulling these kids and say, you still owe me, you're seniors, you still owe me from freshmen. Not to mention that you would not be able to graduate. When you go to a cash register, you need to have at least 230. If you don't have that, even 2.5 short because you missed health class that you thought was not important, you're going back and you'll continue shopping. So, super important. In terms of grades, what you need to remember for now, F is a failing grade for high school, D is a failing grade for college. I usually say D equals diploma, a grade of C equals college. If college is on the horizon, then C's and above. If that's not the case, you're doing double or triple work. I tell them, what's the point? You're coming, you're getting up in the morning, you're not doing the work, you're coming back in summer, night school, there are options there, community colleges. Why? Why are you doing that? You have nothing else to do? Then you say that you hate your life. I would hate my life too, 24/7 school. You're fixing one, you're damaging another. So do it right the first time. Semester versus quarter system. I know in middle school, as far as I know, I'm not a middle school counselor, but they're grading you quarterly. High school is semester-based. We provide transitional quarter grades. We provide progress reports only for people who are struggling, for DNF students. So it's not uncommon if initially I have parents calling me, freshman parents naturally, that are calling me saying, I never got a progress report. Good, that's a very good sign. That means that your kid is doing well. If you have a progress report, we'll find you. You'll hear from us loud and clear. Your kid would be in the office. So the good thing and the bad thing. The good thing is that if your kid is struggling during the quarter, he has time to fix it. So he's trickling down, so there's time, fix it. And the grade would go up. And the final grade per semester becomes final, goes on your transcript, and is recorded for colleges. So quarter grades really wouldn't count. That's why if the kid is struggling, it's not the end of the world. It's not the time to give up and say in October, oh my God, I'm failing this class. I said, unfail it. There's two more months. Then just get on top of it and get a good grade. So in the end of this semester, the grade becomes final in December and in June. So if towards the end of November the grade is not good and there's very little time left till the grade becomes final, then we have a problem. The sooner kids fix a problem, the better shape they would be in. If they failed certain classes, academic classes, it's a good idea to repeat them. We've had summer school for, I've been here for 10 years. I think we've had it for 7 years, but prior to that, it was something like that. But prior to that, there was a period of time when we didn't have summer school. Nothing is a given. So when they say, I will do it in 3 years, we've no idea what would happen in 3 years. Just do it right, clean it up, and move on. Progress reports, again, would be just a warning. Nothing else, only for kids that are struggling. You can screenshot that picture, not that you need these dates, really, because again, you should primarily be concerned about the semester grade. If your kid is doing well, then you would not hear from us. But you will have access in Aries to see what the current grade is. Jennifer, help. Okay. Did I skip anything? No. Is it the next slide? And more? More? We skipped a few slides. More? 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 No, no, but we didn't talk about any of the slides. Would you please go down? No, this is the very end of the presentation. Yes, sorry guys, just give me a second. Yes, the next slide, please. Yeah, perfect. So, things you should know about high school. You need to know how many credits you need to have in your pocket before you go to a cash register. For this particular district, the number is 230. San Jose Unified, it's 240. It varies. Some districts are 220. So when you're talking about your relatives and you are arguing what is the correct thing, it varies. 230 for us. 4-year college requirements are different than high school requirements. That's very important to understand that. For people who come from other countries, that's a newer concept. I'm Eastern European, and it's just very different. It works very, very different back home, even though it's from 35 years ago. They almost go parallel, hand in hand, in 9th and 10th grade. And then if you're college bound, they start going apart. So one kid is focusing on high school graduation, which is very broad. If you're going to military, it would be a high school track. If you're going to a community college, to a 2-year college, and then you're planning to transfer, it's still a high school track. So when you ask a kid, are you interested in college, I specify 4-year college, because everybody's going to college. I say, what college? De Anza. So now they're confusing community college with a 4-year. Requirements are very different. Super important. If uncertain, I tell them raise the bar, and if you fall short, you still would be okay. But if all of a sudden you wake up one day as a senior and say, I'm heading to college, then that might not happen. You have plenty of things to work on, and it's just not doable. You know, you waited too long. So 4- and 2-year planning. I mentioned that we will talk about 10th grade. So the way that works, in freshman year, we're doing pretty brief meet and greet. That's who I am. That's how you schedule an appointment with me. This is our counseling secretary. She handles a lot of logistical things, lockers, you know, scheduling things. Then in 10th grade, we are public school, but I think we're doing a good job trying to work with kids individually. We're not a private school. We have big caseloads. But in 10th grade, it's been several years, we've made consistent efforts to meet every single 10th grader one-on-one. These are usually lengthy conversations, 30, 40 minutes. We start with honors kids in the fall, and in the second semester of sophomore year, we go to regular kids. What do we have by that time? We have freshman grades. When I start talking to them, it's important for me to find out, do they like math or do they like math teacher? Big difference. Do you still like math? Now you have a different teacher. Okay, now I'm looking at the assessments. These are career tools that we utilize through a program called Naviance. This is our college and career tool. It has nothing to do with Aries. And we're assessing kids. These are usually boring, dry surveys. They're important to me. I know how to read this stuff. What kind of kid is sitting in front of me? What is your personality? What are your interests? I like this stuff. I'm very career-oriented. Career has nothing to do with occupation. It doesn't mean that you're not going to college. If you're shy, non-confrontational, you don't look me in the eyes, and then you say that you want to become a lawyer, something is not adding up. Then I'm looking deeper into this stuff. And by that time, they're more articulate. They can speak their mind. We are trying them to learn that skill, because if you don't talk, we don't know. And then based on that, and when a lot of requirements are under your belt, then junior and senior year, you have a lot more flexibility. And we start projecting what would be important to you. Have you thought of a major? Does that add, contribute value to your major? You want to be an engineer, you need to do some electives. Do you know that we have small engines class? It's not an A through G class, but it's a fantastic class for somebody who wants to become a mechanical engineer. You need electives anyway. Oh, I haven't thought about it. Of course, you only thought about AP classes. You still need electives. Oh, okay. I'm interested in marketing. My mom is doing marketing. Do you want to do what your mom is doing? Hell no. Okay. Do you want to do what your mom is or dad is doing? Yes. Okay. We have that program. We have business program. We have business classes. Have you thought of this? So it gives me something. You want to be a vet? How come that you're not taking human physiology? It's organs. It's a good idea to, in general, to understand what's going on. So this is something that we are doing with every single person in 10th grade for a long time. I usually finish the conversation saying, please tell your parents that we had this conversation. It's sad when they come to us and say, my kid knows nothing, nobody ever talked to him. People talk to him. It's just that he was somewhere else. People probably talk to him multiple times. You talk to your kids, and you know when you're saying 5 times, and they're like, nobody told me that. And we record that. I don't rely on my memory anymore, and I just go to notes, and I say, didn't we discuss that? You were the person who wanted to do business marketing, right? And we talked about this and that. So what's going on? So that's what this 2-year planning is about. We are talking right now at the counseling leadership meetings about doing that even earlier than in sophomore year. To be honest with you, I'm not sure whether there would be a great benefit. We can start in kindergarten, but as a counselor, I need substance. I need meat. I need a certain level of maturity. I need kids to be able to analyze things. What don't you like about your dad's job? He's working all the time, his job is boring, he's always stressed, he's always unhappy. Okay, I get it. All right, so probably a social kid who needs something else. But again, we have tools that would allow us not just to guess, but to base our predictions on something more solid. So I wanted to explain the third bullet for you. Honors and AP classes. In 9th grade, there are no AP classes. AP classes usually start in sophomore year, but there are some honors classes. Within honors classes, we have some classes, let me go back for a second. AP classes are college level classes, truly college level, with AP expectations, AP textbook, AP pace. If the kid is doing 6 or 7 AP classes his junior year, which I've seen, you're killing your child. Some are very capable and can do that with minimum damage. The majority, it comes with a price. Understand that. It's not harder classes. These are college level classes. On a flip side, they give you an extra point on your GPA. It boosts your GPA. I only hope that it doesn't come with the price of mental health, which is quite often the case. You should know that we're in the middle of a mental health crisis even before COVID. COVID contributed to that. So when you're pushing your kids, make sure that they're mentally healthy first. Because I've seen enough very bright kids who just break. They stop coming to school. Instead of school, they start seeing a doctor. College is no longer in the horizon. That's why we have Wellness Center. Super important. AP classes give you an extra point on a GPA. Honors classes are a stepping stone to AP classes. They're pretty rigorous as well. Many of our honors classes are weighted classes, which means that they give you an extra point on a GPA. Not every honors class is a weighted class. So often kids say, so why would I need to take English 9 honors if it's not a weighted class? And I respond, I don't know, what do you want? Do you want to learn or you want just a point? If you want to learn, brain is a muscle. You know, you never exercise, all of a sudden you go to a gym and you start doing that and it hurts and you drop it. The same with the brain. If you're not practicing that, if it's not trained to do more work, then it's not easy. But you have to realize that that's the case because many parents expect it's honors class, it's the same as an AP, and that's not always the case. Graduation requirements, you kids will have these presentations. You'll hear that many times. So 2:30, 230, so that's the magic number. The way it's calculated, usually kids are taking 6 classes a year. Freshman year, it's 6 classes. Then in 10th grade, they can start taking 7 classes. And if they do, they better know why they're doing this. Maybe they're in a leadership program, in an AVID program. It's an extra class that is really needed. Not just, I think it would be better because it would look better, 7 classes. So 60, 60, 60, 60, 6 classes, each class worth 10 credits. 60 times 4 would be 240. And you need to 30. That's why many seniors have a slightly lighter schedule their senior year, and they can do 5 classes. We have many bright seniors who can do as little as 4 classes. They're done. You don't need to frantically look for classes. They completed everything. Classes are rigorous, so they're on track completely. In addition to 230, you need to satisfy community service. That's the only other requirement. Years ago, we used to have a high school exit exam. We no longer are having it, so it's just 230 and community service, 20 hours helping a community, not babysitting for a neighbor and getting paid, not washing neighboring cars and getting paid. Like, really, try to find something that you care about. If you're interested in medical field, maybe you can just do a little volunteering at Kaiser. They have community outreach. If you're interested in technology, maybe you can do a little internship over the summer and count that and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. All right. Requirements. So separate tracks. For high school, you see requirements on the left. On the right, things are labeled A through G. This is California abbreviations. A stands for history, B stands for English, so the terminology, that's how colleges talk to you. Are you done with your A through G? You see that some classes are not A through G. Practical art doesn't count for college. PE doesn't count for college. Many electives don't count for college, but it doesn't mean that you are allowed not to take them. You still need them for graduation. So you need to make sure that things overlap. And when we do sophomore meetings, we are making sure that everything is there. And it's not uncommon when I say you need to have that class. It's not whether you want it or not. You have to have this class for graduation. You have no leverage. Colleges are looking for the minimum of A through G, which is 2 years of history, 4 years of English. English is one class that your kid cannot fail. It's required both for college and for high school, 4 years. You failed English one time, you're automatically behind. Math, minimum 3 years, that's why I put 3+. Minimum 3 years to be eligible to apply for college. If it's a selective school, then you max it out. 4 years of math. Not that you have to do that. The same with science. Minimum 2 years of science, biology and chemistry. If you're interested in STEM careers or in science, then you continue with science. Foreign language, only 2 years. VPA stands for Visual and Performing Arts. For college, 1 year. I have kids who are like, it's pulling teeth. They don't want to take art. We say, no art, no college. You need to take art. No applied arts and practical art would be the same thing. No physical education. Electives. Parents are usually uneasy about electives. You need, it says here, you need 70 elective credits. When would my child be able to do all of that? He doesn't have space in his schedule. Anything that goes beyond the required minimum becomes the elective. So if a kid completed instead of 20 credits of math, he completed 40 credits of math. 20 is going towards math, another 20 becomes the elective. Elective basket is filling up very fast. You don't worry about that. So forget about electives. I always get messages, I'm so stressed, you know, senior, kid is a senior, he doesn't have enough electives. Electives are the easiest things, especially if the kid goes beyond what is required. If you're interested in college, A through G classes, the grade has to be C and above. C minus and D plus, huge difference. C minus, colleges don't play pluses and minuses. C is C, D is D. So C you don't need to repeat, D you need to repeat. Student success, we should go pretty fast. Talk to your teachers, learn to advocate for yourself, learn to speak up, utilize teaching hours, utilize after school tutoring. We have a wellness center on site, and there's a slide that is devoted to that. I'll talk about that in a second. Communication, school mailings, school announcements, administration is doing Charger News, Google Classroom, fantastic resource, student-parent handbooks. I would suggest to start there. Course catalog, hopefully things are updated. Sometimes things are not exactly accurate, and people come to us and say there's no photography class, and photography class is in Santa Clara. Parent handbook, if you want to read that, is available. I think it would be updated when school starts, so we know exactly, how many new teachers we have, and everything is kind of finalized. But it's available at the bottom left corner on the counseling site of Wilcox. You go to counseling, and it's there at the very bottom. Question, answer, frequently asked questions. Another fantastic resource available also on the website and in Google Classroom, freshman Google Classroom. We created that last year. One sheet, resource sheet for freshmen and their parents. Every link gives you information. You want to know about clubs and activities, you click the link, it tells you everything. And again, it's available in Google Classroom for freshmen and on the website. Whatever you need, catalog, college and career stuff, suggested classes to take, Google Classroom information, everything pretty much. If you know that your child might have social emotional issues while transitioning, or you know your child better, anxiety is the biggest buzzword right now. They're getting anxious very easily. All of us are getting anxious easily, especially after COVID. But this is a good resource. We have Sharon Kwan, who is a licensed social worker. We do not provide therapy. Don't expect that your child has issues and he would be treated or would receive regular counseling sessions. No, it's just allowing him to survive the day. But social emotional would be referred. If the child comes to us, then we kind of briefly scan them. We check the severity of the problem. Hopefully it's not severe, although in the past few years I've seen what I should not have seen. The kids suicidal, depressed, cutting. So this is reality. It's happening. It's not somewhere else. It's in every school. So make sure that you know your child well. And if any issues, talk to these people about other resources available to you, community resources. She'll probably refer you to check with your health insurance if it's something that is more serious. And we're almost done. Bell schedule, you will have that, you would know that. Feel free to do a screenshot. The good thing is that the day is shorter than before. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, we're finishing at 3:50 instead of 4:20, which is great. So the longer day would be only on Thursday, which is our block day. Wednesday and Thursday are our block days. It works a little differently. Wednesday would be 2nd, 4th, and 6th, and Thursday would be 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 7th period. And if your child doesn't have 7th period, he would be done at 2:30 after his 5th period. With that, I'm done. I'm open for a couple of your questions. Is it 2 o'clock? I was trying to pass 2. Yeah, I'm just considerate of your time. I can take a couple of questions. If there's something that I did not answer or I don't have an answer to, then feel free to follow up with your counselor or with any of the staff that we presented, vice principals, if it's technology, if there is an IEP situation, something that would be much more concrete. So I can take, let's say, 3 questions. Hopefully, students should be getting a planner. That's what I heard. I hope it doesn't change. Fantastic resource. Make them write things down. You know, I speak a couple of languages, and I use a planner for everything. I don't remember things. They're looking at me. It's like, how do you remember? Oh, that's no wonder that they say, I forgot. That's their main thing. I forgot. Don't forget. Write things down in the planner. Yes, sir. Kids have, yeah, only for kids. Kids have their own Gmail account. You can use whatever account you want as a parent. You know, whatever account when you signed up in the past for School Loop, we would do that. For Aries, I would assume that you would enter something, and that's how we would reach you. For kids, it's not a big deal now. I think they wouldn't have a choice, but Gmail, but in the past, I would say 50% were using School Loop. And I was communicating through Gmail. There was a discrepancy. I would send information one way, they would never receive it because they never check it. There was no habit. So make it a habit for kids to check their Gmail, school Gmail account. Uh, 20 hours of community service volunteering, that's in 4 years. So you don't worry about it now. It's not every year. It's not 80. It's 20 hours through your whole high school career. And it's a bare minimum. Yes. It's an early no, 7:30 is for us. Jennifer, do you mind to go back to the bell schedule? So staff collaboration, that's what you're talking about? So this would be our meeting. So they start second period. So it's not every single period that they have on Wednesday. On Monday, they have 1st through 6th, so 7th. On Wednesday, they would only go to 2nd, 4th, and 6th. So they will start here at 9:05. And here, they would start at 8:45 for the first period. Yes, as far as I know. Mm-hmm. If you're a freshman, I would be very surprised if you have 7th. Yeah, the directive was 6 classes for all the kids, unless they are probably special ed and they need to have study skills classes, something else. Yeah, it's 6 classes. Let me take the last question. And yes, ma'am? Admins usually address all of that. The person who is in charge, if you really want something, I'm sure he might have something in writing, is Mr. Kolda. He is our vice principal. We get information from them. So we are not counselors, don't have a class. Teachers know their procedures if something happens. But if you want something in writing, I would contact him. All right. Yes, ma'am? APs are college level classes. They're approved by UCs. You have an AP test in the end of you have an option of taking a test. You don't have to, but the difference between AP test and AP class is that the class, when you're taking AP, not honors, gives you an extra point on a GPA, thus boosting your GPA. Makes you look better when you apply to college. When you take an AP test, and you score well, you might get college credits when you're in college. 2 different purposes, 2 different things. That's why kids take a class and a test. But I had a kid who took, he spoke Japanese fluently. He didn't even need to take a Japanese class. He went straight to the AP Japanese test. All right, guys, so I'm just trying to be considerate of your time. Thank you very much. You know who your counselors is. Have a wonderful beginning of the year and be safe. Thank you.